Hello and welcome into the KE Report. Shad and Corey here as your host, and we're talking today with Talisker Resources. Talisker is traded on the TSX under the ticker TSK and on the OTCQX under the ticker TSKFF. And we are joined today with the president and CEO of Talisker Resources, Terry Harbort. And Terry, it's great to get you back on the show for an update. You've got a lot going on as a company, but it's exciting to talk today because you put out some news on Monday morning that you've sold your first gold. 700 ounces of gold has been sold. Now, this is, as a reminder for people listening, coming out of the Mustang Mine and being trucked over to Nicola Mining's Craigmont mill. And so it's exciting to see all of the hard work finally resulting in gold being sold, revenues being generated. I know that you're still in ramp-up mode, and some of this is the development material that you've been sending over, and then you're drifting into these veins. But what can you tell us about this key milestone for the company, Terry?
Oh, look, it's really a fabulous achievement for the whole team here. We sort of joke it's an overnight success in 6.5 years, really following the path, being diligent and persistent, making through the tough times we've had, and also mining startup, which is always challenging for even big companies. It can be a challenge starting up. So really, hats off to the team. Everyone's put a lot of hard work into this. Made it through the challenges. Everyone has challenges starting up mines, and the key is to make it through those challenges with what's the team done and achieve this elusive goal of actually producing gold, transitioning from an explorer developer across into producer, and the best thing for me, receiving cash flow, money actually coming into the company. So many of us juniors, we just spend our whole path spending money. So to see money coming in is just a fabulous thing. So I really got to congratulate my team, our operational partners, the contractors, the drillers, the truckers, and of course, Nicola, who've helped us achieve this. A really fabulous thing. Quite small at this stage, of course. This was mostly from our development ore. So this is the ore that gets produced as we're developing access to get into the stopes. And really our next steps now, we're in our first stope. So we've blasted that out. We've drilled the next 3 to 4 stopes. So it's all full steam ahead from now on.
Well, it's a good time to be selling gold in this market where the gold price is. But Terry, I know, first step here, you're selling gold. Next step being ramp up, but everybody I'm sure would want to know, because this is early stage ore and you are still in kind of that development / ramp up stage. What can we expect for, let's just say, next month? Is it going to be much of the same? Could you ramp up from here? Give us the lay of the land, please.
Yeah, look, it's really transitioning over the next couple of months here into ramping up more material and particularly higher grade material. So the grade will be higher as we're in that stope material, less dilution, and really the end of this first stope was a beautiful sight to see. And I think we'll be putting out some photos on our social media for our shareholders and stakeholders to have a look at some of the beautiful mining that's actually going on right now up at Bralorne. Really surgical blasts that have come out to reduce right down to a minimum the dilution of the high grade veins. So really great job going forward. So we'll be continuing to truck here. We're trucking every day. There's trucks coming out constantly on a daily basis. So all moving. Key thing is that we're transitioning now as we come to the end of this development cycle into mainly stope material. And really the big change, I guess, is coming into the end of the year, it'll mainly be this stope material that we're trucking and milling. So high grade, juicier looking stuff. So very exciting from our perspective.
Well, Terry, speaking of high grade and juicy, you put out some assay results at both the 1075 level and the 1060 level since we've talked last. And so these were both in August the 7th and August the 18th. And there's some really high grade zingers in here, and some of it's over really nice width. So we don't have time to get into every single result you put out, but that we'll link to the news in the show notes. But maybe give us some highlight ideas of the kind of grade that you're seeing from both these areas, 1060 and 1075.
Oh yeah, look, some really astounding results coming down there, mainly through the Alhambra vein and a really well-defined ore shoot, which is sort of defined over 60 meters plus between multiple levels. some of the best results coming out there from the faces. So these are faces that we sample as we're developing. We're sampling these with saw cut channels. So it's like a drill hole. The guys get in and drill 2 saw lines into the face of the rock and then chisel that out. So it's very accurate sampling that's going on. And really, we're seeing this consistency now. We've put 3 levels out, and we've got a 4th one to come out over the next week or so. And really some just astounding grades to see in the faces. I think the best one we had there was a 550 gram per tonner. There was a 400 gram per tonne, a couple of 200 gram per tonnes, and a whole smattering of multi-ounce gold results that really shows, the quality of these ore shoots when we're in these veins and mining them out. A lot of visible gold. We've had a few investor tours of late, and almost everyone who comes on can find nuggets of gold in these faces. So really spectacular looking material. And we're very happy with how that's been going and how this sampling come back, and the confidence that it gives us when we're extracting those stopes between the levels, that we're really going to have nice, juicy material coming out and going to the mill.
Terry, can you just explain how these 2 zones at 1060 and 1075 are factoring into where you're developing, where you're actually mining and moving towards mining?
Yeah, so we've got cross cuts on basically on 4 levels now, on the 1060, 1075, 1105 and 1120. And we've been working on east and west fronts, so basically 8 development fronts that we're working backwards and forwards. And we develop fingers or access levels, if you like, on each of these levels, and then we blast the stopes in between them. So always when you're in development, it comes down to how much dilution you have, whether you get ore or grade classified as this material. And we've been fortunate because with some of these very high grades, of course, even with the diluted wall rock for the development widths, it's still payable material. So we've been very fortunate there, but super excited to continue up into these stopes. And with the mining being able to so far be right on the boundary of these veins, it means we've almost got no dilution. So hopefully we'll get some good areas with this very high grade multi-ounce material heading off to the mill and generating some more cash for us.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see when some of this higher grade material starts getting processed and what that equates to in the gold sales and production. And when we talked last time, Terry, you mentioned that in addition to the Alhambra vein, that you're now on the BK vein as well, and got those 4 levels going: 1060, 1075, 1105, and 1120. So a lot going on the development. But just to remind people, you are trucking this over to the Craigmont mill to process, and you're looking at, and you've done a couple different studies now on ore sorting and how you could upgrade the material. Even though there's not a lot of waste based on the way you've been mining it thus far, the ore sorting allows you to upgrade the ore even further before shipping it. So maybe talk to us high level about how some of those studies have come back.
Oh, look, I've been really amazed and really happy with how they've come back. I think, as we've mentioned before on previous sessions, I was a bit skeptical, and maybe that's because I'm a 4th cycle miner. This is my 4th up cycle, and sometimes we're a bit skeptical of new technology, and really the advantages of this technology are just incredible. And I encourage any of the listeners to go and have a look at our last press release. And our last press release was on the visual results that come out of this. And it's very, very clear to see the differentiation between ore and waste. So we see a very clear upgrade, and it's simply because of the reduction of that waste material. So for us, it has an extra impact because we're trucking, we're remote processing, we've got to pay per ton. So having an ore sorter system in that can reduce our waste by up to 50%, or in the development even more, greatly reduces those costs, can halve our trucking cost, can halve our milling costs. So it has direct impacts right on our bottom line. We expect to see very soon the assay results come back, how the ore sorting works, how the cutoff works with ore sorting. It's a visual thing, so it's basically like percentage of ore versus percentage waste, or black versus white, if you like, and you can modify where that is depending on what grade you want to recover. And it really is related to the proportion of mineralized vein material. So we should have those results pretty soon. They're at the laboratory now. We're taking the opportunity to do some full-scale metallurgical testing, rock grind and rock strength testing as well, because we're certainly looking at implementing one of these systems, and then that'll help us when time comes to right size our mill. And we'll be likely putting in a smaller scale mill because we're milling less material, less waste, and also less energy requirements and energy cost to mill it. So right through the spectrum, this great new technology out of Tomra. It's their patented technology. Nobody else has it. It looks like a real game changer for us, and I'm super excited to advance these steps to bring this system into full production.
So, Terry, what additional steps do you need to undertake, and what's a reasonable time frame to actually start implementing the ore sorting on the more production front?
We're taking the steps now. We've picked out a site on surface, basically right adjacent to where the current Mustang portal is. We have a bit of earthworks to do there, leveling out. And then basically we'll be putting down a concrete pad and constructing a sprung structure over the top of that. The sequence itself, which will have a primary and a secondary crushing system, we'll have a screening crushing system there for oversized material to go back in the crusher. There'll be a wash plant basically to clean any muck or fines off the ore material. And then, of course, conveyors to move everything around. And the final thing is the two ore sorters, a primary and secondary, that'll be installed. So at this stage, we're looking at fast tracking all this pre-operational works as much as we can. The manufacture of these, the guidance from Steiner is it's about 6 to 8 months before it's been manufactured, shipped, and fully installed. So we're looking here probably early Q2 or late Q1, if everything goes well, that we've got this system in place and churning out high-graded ore.
All right, well, we're going to keep tabs on that, but it's an exciting time for the company on multiple fronts here. And to deal with the growth of the company, you've staffed up, Terry. You've added some key team members to the management, and I think it'd be nice just to highlight one or two of them just for folks to know that the team is growing along with the resources and the revenues.
Yes, look, like everybody, trimmed back our team in the lean times of the last couple of years. And now we're quite confident with the production we're going into. You know, we're really looking at stepping full on into a growth phase, really capitalizing on this crazy all-time gold price that we're all loving at the moment. So we're looking at our next steps, and really our next steps are, well, where are we going to build the next mine? We know we've got a 33-kilometer trend. We know we've got extensive opportunity. The Mustang Mine going very well at this stage. Where's the next mine going to be, and when we're going to put that in? So starting to make critical changes to help us manage that. And the first key one of those was bringing in Richard Morrell. Richard Morrell is somebody who can handle multiple mines coming online and can grow into or follow a pathway to become our future COO, Chief Operational Officer, when we have multiple facilities going into place. So extensive experience there, done this thing many times. So a really great guy to step into that role. Also, Lindsay Dunlop coming in, a really superb investor relations vice president. Many of you or your listeners might know Lindsay from her previous roles when she was with Kirk and Lake, and also more recently with West Dome. And she was part of the team there that basically took West Dome from similar to where we are, you know, around the 150 million mark, up to being a several billion. I think they're a $2 or $3 billion company now, following a very similar path to what we're following. So really great to have Lindsay's experience and knowledge as we follow a very similar path in our growth profile. And then finally, Kyle Orr, somebody I've worked with for about 10 years on various projects, various company. Kyle, I think, is one of the best drill managers and drill planners in the entire industry. Kyle's come up through the ranks, and very pleased for him to take on the top role there of VP Exploration as we look to go through expansion, resource conversion, bringing new mines in, and hopefully in time, some new discoveries that we can add into our portfolio. So really great to be able to beef out that team and have the right team in place to execute the vision that we have and execute the growth that we want to achieve.
All right, Terry, I think we'll wrap it up there, but I like the idea of multiple mines and resource growth and the team being in place to fuel the vision of growth for Talisker Resources. So we'll definitely keep following along with all the news on tap. We'll be watching for the next couple gold pours to see how things grow, and be watching as the exploration team still keeps drifting into new stopes there, and the development team hard at work on those multiple levels. So for those of you listening in, if you want to follow along with all this news, definitely click on the link below in the show notes. It takes you right over to the Talisker website, straight to their news section, where you can sign up for updates that hit your email inbox, or just follow along with the news as it drops. Terry, thanks so much for coming on and sharing this milestone with us. Congratulations to the team. And as always, looking forward to our next conversation.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks very much.